Dear Father Ivo, we are about to enter the second part of the animating and governing the community, the service of the Salesian Rector. Can you give us a hand to open the door?
Let me have the book. Here we are. The words of Don Rua. In Mirabello I will be Don Bosco. These are the door to enter into the second part. The rector of the community is the guardian and the animator of the Salesian consecrated identity. This was one of the most consistent indications in the 316 contributions that we received during our research to see the rector first of all as the guardian of the charism.
Can you tell us in 3 words how the charism can be safeguarded today?
All of us know these 3 words: mystics in the spirit, prophets of fraternity, and servants of the young. But even here, it is important to enter through the right door. In fact, the 27th chapter had spoken of 4 things, and I want to read this from the text. We wanted to focus our attention on 4 thematic areas. First, to live a Salesian consecrated vocation in the grace of unity and joy. Second, to have a strong spiritual experience. Third, to build fraternity. And fourth, to dedicate ourselves generously to the mission. When the rector and the community have this kind of energy within them, the grace, the joy that is lived in the heart, it is easy for them to carry this gift to the community, also into the lives of the young and of the people to whom we are sent. The grains are transformed into ears of wheat, and the ears into bread, and together we contribute to the transubstantiation of our days, of our surroundings, of our lives, as Pope Benedict says so well. A profound transformation, and we become more and more sons and daughters of God.
Having entered the second part, we also enter the Basilica of the Sacred Heart, the last great gift that Don Bosco gave to the Church at the end of his life. It is from here that we would like to introduce ourselves to 4.1 Mystics of the Spirit, Spiritual Guide of the Community. We do this with the help of Father Biju, Regional Counselor for South Asia, and Father Roman, Regional Counselor for Central and Northern Europe. Father Roman, in your experience with communities, first as provincial and now as regional, share with us a word about the themes we find under the title Mystics in the Spirit, Spiritual Guide of the Community. Starting with the first, 4.1.1, Fidelity to the Evangelical Counsels.
What I see before my eyes when I think of the evangelical counsels are the faces and life stories of so many splendid confreres who knew how to embody them in such a beautiful and Salesian way. Before we think about how to assess our poverty, chastity, and obedience, I believe we must rejoice in those 3 diamonds that are the treasure in the field which the Lord has given us with our vocation. A treasure that is also a precious talent, perhaps just what our people and our young people need most. As Pope Francis says, we are called to awaken the world through our joy. Joy had its deepest source here, to find in God the heart and reason behind every step we take. From Him becomes the strength to love with all our heart, with all our soul, and with all our strength.
4.1.2 Animation of Personal and Community Prayer. Father Biju, what can you say about prayer to the Salesians today?
Let us start with the two titles in the margin, where the text starts at Numbers 50 and 51. Taking care of the quality of prayer. The rector takes care of the gift of prayer in his own life so that he can animate the community and live life as prayer. Prayer is the breath of the soul. If it is for each of us, it is no less so for the living body of our communities. Here, the journey that each one takes and the journey together are intensely linked to each other. As our constitutions say, we can form communities that pray only if individually we become men of prayer. We are just a few meters from the painting of the Sacred Heart in this basilica that Don Bosco built and dedicated to him. Prayer is nothing more than a heart-to-heart dialogue with him who keeps us alive and gives meaning, direction, substance, effectiveness to every other step we take together and individually. Without me, you can do nothing.
4.1.3 Taking care of charismatic identity. Father Roman.
There are few Salesian places with such an intensive charismatic concentration as where Don Bosco saw his whole life again in the only Mass he celebrated at this altar on May 16, 1887, amid tears of emotion and gratitude. In due time you will understanding everything are the last words he heard in his 9-year-old dream, and here, a few months before his death, they allow him to grasp the meaning of everything he has encountered and even suffered during his life. Our charismatic identity is like that thread that connects all that we are and all what we do. The more we understand it, make it our own, the most our steps and works becomes that gift that the Lord, Mary, the Church, wants to offer young people through us, as it was with Don Bosco's life.
On Prophets of Fraternity, where the rector is asked to be the animator of communion and co-responsibility, we ask a word of introduction from Father Juan Carlos, Regional of the Mediterranean. Father Juan, here it says that the main aspects to take care of in the service of the rector are: first, promoting unity; second, growing in fraternal relationships and communication; third, building an open and welcoming community. Is this what you encountered in your experience as a provincial? According to you, is this something realistic and possible in Salesian communities today?
Thanks, Ignacio. The first subtitle you made in this part says that communion is mission. Not only in my experience as the provincial, but everywhere in the Salesian world, we see that where community life among the confer is more intense, there also their presence, their mission among the young and peoples produces fruits of communion, of shared mission, of life inspired by the gospel. It is a life of communion that also enters into the circle of families, of the educative and pastoral community, and of the Christian and human community at large, with which our Salesian presences interact. Today, for many reasons, we are much more exposed to the outside world, and the quality of our fraternal relationships shines through and communicates more than the words with which we teach, coordinate, preach. But Ignazio, you know that there is also the other side of the coin. The more open and welcoming the community becomes, capable of promoting the family spirit in relations with the laity who share the same mission, the same Salesian charism within the community, capable of fostering the presence of young people within the community, of reaching the peripheries, who are always near if we know how to see them. The more the communion among us confer is strengthened. Thus, we approach together what we would call the red hot core of our charism. This is the expression used during the 28th General Chapter.
We are in the room of Don Bosco, a destination to thousands of pilgrims every year, where Don Bosco spent the last 18 days of his stay in Rome for the consecration of the Basilica of the Sacred Heart. We are in the company of Father Alfred, the General Counselor for the Missions, and Father Alphonse, Regional Counselor for Africa and Madagascar. It is with them that we now enter into the pages of the second part, Servants of the Young, which speaks of the rector as the first person responsible for the apostolic mission. Service is what qualifies the rector, already in the title of the book. However, here it becomes a suit. He is in fact called to be the first to serve the young. Father Alfred, can one say that the rector lives a form of permanent diaconate of continuous service, especially when he is immersed in the mission among young people?
Ignazio, life is no use if you don't serve. Pope Francis told us, certainly the willingness to give one's life, to dedicate oneself to the last breath for the salvation of young people, is an attitude that is communicated above all by example. In this sense, yes, the rector always keeps alive the Salesian diaconia learned from Don Bosco.
The text translates servants of the young into 4 verbs: encourage, coordinate, guide, encourage. I ask you to help us understand in summary what each of them wants to communicate. Father Alfred, encourage, the pastoral charity of the confreres.
Ignazio, the verb encourage, helps to put the attention on each person before tasks, organizations, and goals to be achieved. This is a gift we contemplate in Don Bosco. He was able to bring out the best in each person from such different characters as Caliero and Rua. Today, this is a precious gift also for our communities, which are increasingly multicultural and multi-generational.
Father Alphonse, coordinating shared responsibility for the common mission.
We are in full harmony with Article 44 of the Constitutions, which says that the apostolic mandate that the Church entrusts to us is assumed and implemented primarily by the provincial and local communities. The ability to work together, to coordinate, to work for the same project towards the same goal is perhaps one of the most important skills and competencies which requires continuous formation for the rector and from him to the community. We know that there is no shortage of challenges on this front, and the temptations of everyone on their own are part of our history. That is precisely why it is important to see what the right direction is and to help each other redirect our steps in that direction.
Father Alfred, guiding pastoral discernment.
Discernment is to say, in the current language of the Church, what is already clearly seen in the Gospel, where there is a constant call to recognize that the kingdom of God is here in your midst. This is what Don Bosco did, constantly adapting and pushing forward the mission for young people, among the many changes taking place in the Church and the society of his time. And this is the main line that Pope Francis is following for and with the Church, already well indicated in Evangelii Gaudium.
Father Alphonse, encouraging vocational animation.
There are those who have written, "Your action speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you are saying." This is the first and most important vocational stimulus that our communities can give, offering attractive examples of life for young people who live with us. But vocational animation certainly does not refer only to young people who show a particular interest in our life. As the Synod on Young People has strongly recalled and is already clearly present in the youth ministry frame of reference, helping every young person to find his or her place in life corresponding at best as possible to what God's heart dreams for him or for her is the purpose and end point of all our educational and pastoral action. We need someone in the community who constantly calls us back to this goal.
The text continues with other verbs such as to listen, to dialogue, to correct, to form, then going down specifically to the tools and structures for the good functioning of our houses. They also touch the everyday and concrete aspects such as the role of fraternal correction, the local council, support to our elderly confreres, and other dimensions of our life on which we must reflect and work personally and as a community.